So hello everyone, and let's get started and write our the Docker compose file for this application. Okay. So for that you have to just create a new file and make sure that you have to create the file outside, not in the inside of these folders like the front end and back end. So now we are going to give the name for this file. So I'm just giving docker dash compose then YML. Okay. So once you create the file, then we are going to mention the version. So we are using the version 3. Okay. Then we are going to use services. Okay, so services over here, services. Okay, so in the services we have the 3 services: front end, back end, and the MongoDB. So we are building the back end Docker image and the front end Docker image. Then we are going to pull the MongoDB and then we are going to run the whole application. Okay, so for that we are going to create 3 services. So again, I just come on the next line and just press a tab over here. So our first service is front end. Okay, so front end colon, then you have to press enter again and just press tab again. So we want to build. Okay, so then we are going to mention our context and make sure that our context is present in the current directory of front end folder. So for that I'm just using context over here, and you have to use dot then / then front end, because our Docker file is available in the front end directory. Okay, so then I'm just going to mention the Docker file. Okay, so I'm just using Docker file and colon and just give the name of Docker file. Okay, so again we have just forgot the indentation over here, so hence we are just going to give a space over here. So just go ahead on the context and press tab, and in the second line as well the tab. So then we are going to attach the volume. So as you know that our React application needs the node folder to be run. So without node folder you cannot able to run the application. So hence we are going to attach the volumes of nodes module folder. So for attaching the volume, so you have to just come on the second line over here. Okay, and then you have to follow indentation, and then we are going to mention over the volumes. Okay, and then you have to press again enter, and you have to use dash over here, and the volume is available in the current directory of front end. Okay, and just mention the front end and then mention the directory name over here, the my app. Okay, so you might be thinking why we are using the my app as a directory, because if you open the front end file, okay, so where it is front end file. Okay, so as you can see that we have this working directory / my app. And one thing I have to remember, so once this Docker file get built, so after the building the Docker file, so as you know that our working directory is my app and the nodes folders is available inside the my app directory. So hence we are using this directory my app. Okay, so make sure that you have the idea about it. Okay, so again we have missed over here the Docker file. Okay, then you have to press again enter over here, then you have to use dash over here and give the space over here, and then you have to use the path. So our path will be my app. So in the my app we have the nodes folder. Okay, so it will be available once this Docker file will be built. Okay, so once you're done with that, then we are going to map the port. Okay, so we are going to use ports and then colon then dash, then we are using port 80 for my computer, and this application is run on port 3000. Okay, so hence we are using port 3000, and then we are going to use depends on. Okay, and depends on, and this front end service is depend on the backend, so hence we are using backend. So once you're done with that, then we are going to mention over here restart. So I just want to keep this container running, so hence I am just using restart, and it will be always. So we have write this first service, and let's move on and write the second service. So for that I'm just going to enter over here, press the enter, and make sure that you have to follow indentation. Then I'm just writing the second service over here, so backend, and in the backend I just want to build. Okay, so build, all the things will be same, like the context is present in the current directory of backend. Then just I'm just mentioning my context, and context is Docker file. Okay, then I'm just going to attach the volumes. So volumes and colon, and as you can know that we have the same directory over also, so working directory is same for backend. So hence I am just using the same working directory. So just give enter over here and dash, and the context, so the volume will be in the current directory. We have the backend. Okay, so we are writing for backend, so then you have to use colon, then you have to mention the directory over here, okay, and press again enter and dash, then / my app, then nodes underscore models folder, okay. So and later on I'm just exposing the port, so I'm just using expose, and this application is run on backend in the 3000, so hence I'm just exposing the port as port 3000, and then I'm just again using depends on, and because this service will be depend on the Mongo, so hence I'm just using Mongo, and later on and again I'm just using restart over here, so I just want container will be in the running state, okay, so hence I'm just using restart. So now we have successfully created the second service as well, and let's create the last service, the Mongo service, okay. So for that you have to just follow the indentation again and just writing the Mongo here and press enter over here, and then press tab and then mention the image. So we are going to pull the Mongo image, okay. So just mention the name over here, Mongo latest, okay, and then we are going to export the port. So port will be E27, so here it is 27017. So once you're done with that, then we are going to attach the volumes. So for that you have to just come on the second lines, and then we are going to type volumes, okay, then dash, then you have to give space, and current directory we have the data, then /, okay, so then we have the data over here, and then db, okay, and I just again use the restart over here as always, okay. So once you're done with all the things, then save this file, and as you can see that we have successfully created all the three services, like the front end, the back end, and the Mongo, okay. So let me revise all the things once again for you. So as you can see that we have write the first service over the front end, and in the front end we are going to build the Docker file, so hence I'm just mentioning the context, so context available in the current directory of front end folder. So then I'm just mentioning the context over here, so our context is the Docker file, and here I mentioned the Docker file name, and then I just attach the volumes and mention the port over here, then mention the these services depend on the backend, and also the backend is also same and almost same, okay. This is the Mongo over here, okay, and you have to just save this file. So before the building and running the Docker Compose file, so one thing you have to remember, so as I mentioned in the earlier videos, so if you run the application in the locally, so by default it's run on the localhost, so we have to change the MongoDB name from the localhost to the Mongo. So now how we are going to change the name of MongoDB from the localhost to the Mongo. So for that you have to just go in the backend, okay, so we have this backend directory, and here we have the another folder over here like config, okay, and in the config folder we have this file config.json, and if you open it, so as you can see that we have this JSON format file, and here we have this localhost, so you have to just replace this localhost from this service name over here. So we have this service name as Mongo, so we have to just replace as a Mongo, and you have to just save the file, okay. So once you're done with that, so there is one thing also you have to be changed, so you have to just go again in the front end, okay. So in the front end we have this packet.json file, so you have to just open it. So once you open the packet.json file, so you have to just scroll down, and as you can see that in the proxy we have this address over here, it is localhost. So as you know that our front end is dependent on the backend, so if you want to run the application in the Docker container, so here, so you have to just replace this localhost from the backend service, okay. So I'm just going to copy this one and just going to paste over here, okay. So once you've done all the changes, so you have to just save this file, okay. So you have to save the both files, like packet.json and this config.json, okay, and I'm just going to close this one, okay, the both files, and now everything is ready, and now we are going to build this Docker Compose file, okay. So again, as you can see that I have this Docker Compose file over here, so let's build this one. So I'm just using docker -compose -f, and I have to mention the file name over here, and just using build, okay, and within a second it's going to build the Docker Compose file for us, okay. So as you can see that our Docker Compose file is successfully built, and let's try to run this one, okay. So I'm just using the same command over here, where it is docker, so shall I copy all the things, okay, and just use up over here, and it's created, and within a second our application will be start, and here it is. So if I open, so I have to open just localhost :80, so because I have mentioned over here where it is, so here, okay. So I'm just mentioning, and let's open, and as you can see that our application is running, and let's try to add some things like AWS keep here. Okay, so everything is working over here. So everything is working. Okay, so as you can see that we have successfully built our application, and our database is also connected with the backend, and backend is connected with the frontend. So whole application is running successfully. And one thing I have to show. So if you close this application, okay, so if you close this one, and if you check out the images, so using Docker images, so as you can see that we have these two images over here, like the Docker, not the Docker, to do Mern front end, and we have this second one, to do Mern backend. So in the next videos, we are going to push these both images to the Docker hub, and later on we can able to pull these images as well, and also we are going to run these images as well.